So after that glucose test, I was fine since I didn't have any, stuff in my stomach like that. And then I went on to have normal morning sickness until the end. Just, needing to eat every 2 hours, the regular kind of stuff. And at that pregnancy, I remember puking 17 times in one day. It was normal for me to puke in the teens before I got help. And then I went on and had what they thought was preeclampsia, so they induced me and with magnesium, and that is now I know that is normally a complication of one of what happens when you have hyperemesis. That oftentimes women will have preeclampsia or preterm labor. I was lucky though, and I have a beautiful little boy, and he's now going to be turning 3 this July. So we are very glad that we have him in our lives, and he is such a joy, and he's so funny. And so then for my second pregnancy, I got sick at what I thought was 4 weeks, but I was actually 6 weeks. And I called the doctor when I don't know, it was like somewhere between 10 and 1, and I was like, I've puked already 7 times today, and I think I'm headed back into this. And she said, yeah, that's too much. But we can't help you. You have to go to the ER. I went to the emergent care center then later and got regular Zofran, not the dissolvable form, and it did not work because I was just puking it back up. And anyone who's had hyperemesis knows that if you have the medicine, either medicine, and you swallow it and you throw it back up, there's like a time frame, and you can't take another one, and you're just going to suffer for the next several hours or a day. And then once you're behind, it's hard to catch back up and to feel better. So I went to the emergency care center. That didn't work. And then I went to the ER, and they gave me fluids. And that's, if you've read my blog, that's when I talk about, was he worth it? And then the doctor did end up seeing me 2 weeks early, thanks to my husband begging and begging her to see me, and they were not happy with us. But I'm glad that he advocated for me. And I had lost 21 pounds with this pregnancy. The other one I lost 20. And I was in labor. It was nice because then she allowed me to go to labor and delivery, which they see you a whole lot quicker. She calls and you go right in, and they give you your fluids and medicine. And they tried Phenergan in this pregnancy. I believe that's how it's pronounced. And there was some bad side effects to that. I'd be laying down on the couch because that's where I spent all my day, pretty much laying on the couch, and I would fall asleep, and I'd wake back up, and I'd think, I have to eat, I have to drink, or I'm not going to get better. I'm not throwing up, but that's because I'm sleeping the whole day. It's like knocking me out really bad. And so I'd think, I have to eat, I have to drink, and then I just, like nothing, I'd just be out again. I didn't know what happened. I'd wake up again, like, did I eat, did I drink, I don't know. I should eat or drink, and then I'd knock back out again. It was like that for days. And I called the doctor, and I was like, I can't handle this. So we went back to Zofran because that's what my body tolerated best, even though I still was puking around 5 times a day with laying on the couch the entire day. If I moved from one room to the other, I would throw up. Just sitting up, you throw up. Turning your head, you could throw up. Pretty much, you just vomiting all the time. It's normal to vomit, 30 minutes to an hour is like the normal for hyperemesis. And unlike a regular sickness, it's not like you throw up and then you feel better for very long. It's you throw up, you feel better than right before you throw up, but you're still very nauseous the whole time, and you don't have very much time in between, like the flu. You generally have more time in between. So I went back on Zofran, and then one of the visits, they gave me Compazine, which it's hit or miss with different people. I don't want to say don't take it because it could be different for you, but for me it made me so shaky, and I just kept moving my legs, pumping my legs the whole time like I'm on a bicycle. Like I could not stop moving. I stopped throwing up, which was great, but I was walking around my yard. It was summer, and I was walking around my yard again and again for like 2 hours, and I could not fall asleep. I just laid there saying, I'm so tired, I want to sleep, and I couldn't sleep. When I was in there, when they gave it to me, I started thinking thoughts like, I want to yank these IVs out. I'm scared of myself. I normally feel like I have pretty good control over what I say when I'm in pain and like, my reaction to it. But this stuff I felt like I was contemplating how I was going to keep myself from running out of the hospital and from yanking the IVs out of my arm, and it really scared me. So that was like 4 days of trying to recover from that. I was just so jittery. And then, but I didn't have any more visits after that, so maybe it worked as far as I know. Although when I was leaving that hospital visit, I was throwing up. They sent me home. They sent me out in a wheelchair, and she said she did not want me to be at home by myself. It was, I guess I would pass out, and she wanted me to be watched. So I threw up on the way out there, but I didn't let my mother-in-law turn around because I was that medicine made me so messed up. So I have my notes here, so let's see. And then the normal response when a woman with hyperemesis talks about her, being sick, it's not like you say, hey, I've thrown up this many times a day. Nobody wants to talk about that. So generally you say, I'm really sick, and someone says, oh, I was really sick too. I was nauseous all day long. And then you go on to say, yeah, I'm so tired of throwing up. And they say, oh, well, I never threw up. And it's not that being nauseous 24/7 is like great. It's just that it doesn't compare to hyperemesis is what it is. Because I've had morning sickness, at the end of my, pregnancies. Because after the second one, it went to normal morning sickness, or still hyperemesis, but like not needing to go back into the hospital for fluids, and then to regular morning sickness, and I'd get better. And so normally somebody will say, yeah, I was really sick, but nobody really quite can get it unless they've been through it, like a lot of sicknesses. And it's great because there's a light at the end of the tunnel, hopefully, as long as nothing goes wrong because of the dangers of it. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, and you get to hold your baby. You get to, have something for all that hard work you've been through. And, but it's still very hard when you don't have the support that you need. One of the problems that you often hear from doctors and nurses, which I mentioned before, was the crackering. You don't want to cracker a woman with hyperemesis. You don't want to say, hey, you should try some saltines and some ginger ale and maybe some papaya. And that stuff does not work for a woman with hyperemesis. It's not going to save her life. It's not going to help her. Her mouth is too dry to break up the saltines, and it's just going to make her more sick. Many women need PICC lines, which is a line that is often in their arms, and it's fed through a catheter near their heart, and they get stuff through that helps, and that's for in-home care generally, although they will do it sometimes in the hospital. The last visit I was at, they talked about putting in a PICC line. The nurse just briefly mentioned it, and that scared me because I knew I didn't want to have that if I didn't absolutely need it. Hyperemesis feels like a severe case of the flu. Only, you don't always have the body aches, but you will get very sore from puking. Your stomach will hurt and your back will hurt from, violently puking like that. And it is violent puking. It's not just whatever, some women will vomit blood and bile, and it's really not healthy. So the second pregnancy, I was lucky enough to, towards the end of the real sickness part, the real bad part, to try cherry water ice. And as long as it was cherry water ice and it was right first thing in the morning, and I had 1 to 3 of them, I'd be nauseous the whole time, but I wouldn't throw it up. And it tasted good, and that's what got me through. So I try not to have too much of Red 40 when I'm not pregnant, so that when I am, because it's not really good for you.